Hello everybody! How are you today? I am doing freaking fantastic. I today am working on this piece by the glorious MicroFungi. They asked me to go ahead and do a quick paint over of this to show a couple of the things that I would change to make it a little bit more dynamic and a little bit more visually aesthetic. I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna do some things. That's what we're gonna do today. Alright, so first I need my handy dandy little button thinger over here. Hold on, sorry. Technical difficulties, if you will. Alright. So, I am going to just record this all in one go and see how it goes. So, let's not judge me. Alright, first things first, I am using a pressure-based chalk brush. It's all the same size, but it does go opacity based, or go lighter on the opacity when using pressure. So what we're going to do, I'm going to do a couple of different things, but the main focus that I wanted fungi to focus on here was this fairy and bringing them out so that we can actually get a better look of the whole picture. So some of the first things that I'm going to go ahead and do, if you guys want to support MicroFungi, I will have links to their social media sites in the video links below, or whatever, you know. And I will be giving those to you because they are awesome and they are going out of their way to learn and practice and study, and I really think that they deserve a little bit of attention. So the very first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and add a layer so that we can get a better idea. Right now, the entire picture is looking a little bit like it blends too much together. So the biggest thing that we're going to want to do here is this character here, we're going to want to push out from the rest of the picture. So all of this, we're going to have to adjust to give a little bit of a kick. So Control-Alt-Z for hotkey to erase everything. By the way, I have it set to one little button, so it's a lot easier for me. But, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to go to Adjustments, and we're going to go to Gradient Map. This fun little feature actually basically colors things based on what colors and shading you already have. So what we're going to do is we're going to play around with this. Oops, why is that popping up over there? Alright, I recently got 2 screens, everybody, so I'm having a little bit of a fight with Photoshop. But I like this brown and orange one. It really pops the highlights and everything. So first thing I'm gonna do is just kind of pick that. Alright? After I do that, I'm gonna take this layer, I'm gonna move it under the layer I created that doesn't have anything on it yet. But I'm gonna take this layer, and in this little box here, this one that says normal, I'm gonna move it to, let's say, soft light, and let's take a look at this, okay? So that's the difference in color, and it's real bright right now. It's real vibrant, and so we want to kind of just kick that down a little bit. All right. So now we've added a little bit of a good base. The next thing we're gonna do is one of the ways that I like to pull out 2 separate objects is to change the warmth and to change the saturation. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this layer 1 here. We're going to choose a desaturated blue. Let's see. Or actually, we'll choose a desaturated red, because if we look around at the colors here, if we pick at them, everything in the background is fairly warm. Even these eyes, though they're green, are all kind of in the warmer green area down here. The hair is warm. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to do a desaturated red. And we're gonna make her pop by making her more blue and really bring in that blue brightness. So we're going to take this desaturated blue, or desaturated red, sorry, and we're going to take the whole painting, okay? We're going to take our brush and we're just going to fill everything in here. Alright, I should have used any brush other than this one, hold on. So, because basically we're just kind of making a paint layer. You can fill this or do whatever. Okay, there we go. See, everything's covered, okay. Go back to my chalk brush. Alright, so we've got this. Well, we've just covered everything. Well, this we're going to go ahead and take down to also soft light, or another great one is screen. Just play around with it until you get what you kind of like here. what I'm thinking is that we want to darken behind her, or the face, and lighten the body. So we're going to try and find something that kind of does that really well. I really like hard light. I think that's what we're going to go with. Yeah, let's try hard light for now. Okay. I'm going to bring that fill down so that it's not really doing too much of an effect, but it's still there, so you can still very much tell. Now we're going to go in on that same layer, and we're going to hit the erase button. What the fuck are you arguing at me about? You want to fight? Come on, come at me, you piece of shit. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so now we're going to take this brush and we're going to just erase out. In fact, actually, we're going to bring the fill up while we do this, just so that we can kind of see the difference. I'm going to erase out all of the fairy in front in order to really start up that contrast. That's basically our goal right now, is we're trying to build that contrast. So, and what that does is that's warming the background character here, and it's making her pop already. You see how much those wings are already showing compared? So, I'm going to take that, just keep on moving it. Okay. If anybody got that reference, I appreciate you. 90s techno is actually my jam. Anyway, so here we go. Oh my gosh. Control-Alt-Z, your best friend, because your brush isn't. You want to fight me? Oh my god. Please, tablet. I know that you're new here, but can you just, like, not? See right here? It's getting, like, stuck. It keeps, like, shooting itself over. So maybe I should just... please. Okay, there we go. Alright. Anyway, every once in a while my tablet has a little bit of a fit. I think it's because the drivers are old compared to the actual tablet. Might go back and re-download them and adjust them. We'll see. Anyway, just so you're aware, I actually bought a new tablet very, very recently. And when I say I bought a new tablet, I mean my boyfriend bought me a new tablet. Because he's awesome. But, I mean, I guess I don't know. It's one of those things where I have a hard time seeing our resources as shared. I don't know. Anyway, so as I was saying, we're making this pop. We're doing some stuff. We're adding some color, things like that. Okay. So there we go. Now you've got the two very distinct characters. And from there we can take this color and we can kind of bring it down a little bit, because we just want it to be distinctive enough. We don't need to fully, like, remove the other character. But the other thing is, like, that character is still so heavily saturated. So let's just play around a little bit. Let's see about color. Maybe. Not luminosity. Saturation. Alright, let's go back to hard light. Okay, but what we're going to do is we're going to take this and select pixels. We're going to go Control Alt Shift and E. I need both hands for that. And that is going to stamp our whole picture. Oh wait, before we do that, actually, we missed this entire wing, so we're going to fix that. There we go. Now we're going to Control Alt Shift E, like I said. We're going to take this, we're going to select pixels. We're going to take this, layer via cut. Here we go. layer via cut. Remove this. Now we have just that, which is fine for now, because what we're doing with it, we're going to take that, we're going to control you. Alright. Really, Gizmo? Control. Why are you like this? Oh, because it's over here again. Okay. So, control you. Now, what this is it's kind of like it's a huge saturation slider, right? So we can darken this more, we can leave it how it is, do whatever. But what I'm looking for specifically is the saturation. We can even move this more to a warmer color. Do things like that. Okay. So, like, this is just a basic slider shift tool. Alright, and it doesn't even need to be that intensive, but let's just leave it there for now and go kind of crazy with it. Fungi, while you watch this, I just want you to know, I'm just going to extremes. You don't have to do all of this. This is just things that I would do. So, the next thing that I would do after that, now that we have, you know, the saturation or the desaturated character in the background, the foreground much more popping, now the next thing that we need to do is show the depth. So, first thing that we would do that, my keyboard. The first thing that we would want to do that is really get some dynamic lighting in there. So, like I said, this character, is very much blue. That's her main color here. So what I'm thinking would be a really good idea is if we add some dynamic blue lighting, just to kind of make her pop a little bit. So I have my chalk brush. I like chalk brushes just because they're kind of soft and smooth, but you can do whatever. Now with the chalk brush, you can hit it really hard, you can hit it really light, whatever. Do some erasing, but basically we're just trying to add in some quick highlights to really make this pop. And then, you know, just smooth them out. I'm alt clicking. I am alt clicking in order to grab out some of the color that is around the character and kind of smooth out all of these extra lines, because I know that I'm kind of working in the rough. You don't have to do all of this extra. I'm just doing it this way because I got one layer and didn't want to like separate everything out. I don't know. Anyway, so with skin especially, light is going to like scatter a little bit. So it's not going to be this super bright blue. It's actually going to be kind of faded over the whole thing. And you'll want to kind of add that in as much as you can. So there we go. And like, see how this like has kind of really smooth. I've kind of taken away the shape of it. So like you can go through and adjust that too. So we'll bring this back in. Okay, bring this out. I don't want to like negate your style of like character drawing and stuff, so like I'm not trying to adjust like the shape of anything or how any of that works. Right now I'm just talking about like dynamic lighting. So, oh shush. You gonna make that noise every time I try to increase my brush size? Alright, so here we go. Kind of smoothing that out. Okay, and then we kind of, like, you see where I'm going with that. You can kind of move it for the rest of the stuff down there. Stuff like that. Do the same thing in this area. And then the next thing you want to do is kind of push the shadows a little bit. Hold on 1 second, let me get these legs. Alright, there we go. Alright, so these shadows are going to have a mixture of the tone outside and the things making it making the shadow, or the tone in the environment. So we're gonna do a purple one, I think, for this, just to match with the red background as well as the blue dress. And we're just gonna kind of add those in just a little bit. Oops. Add those in just a little bit. Smooth that out a little bit. Things like that. There we go. And see how I'm doing a lot of color picking? That is totally acceptable to do. Like, if you, like, it's a lot easier to smooth things out if you allow yourself to have a bunch of colors. So, there we go. And that adds a little more shading to that. I don't think purple was the way to go, but we will leave it as is for now, and maybe come back to it later. I don't want to make this a giant tutorial, so I am going to leave it there. Anyway, so now with these lighting and everything, this is still really, really bright in some spots, so we're going to kind of smooth that out a little bit more, because skin especially has a ton of subsurface scatter. So you're not going to get the same lighting that you would on, say, the dress. So let's see, let's smooth it out a little bit more. Okay. So yeah, like I said, you're not going to get the same lighting that you would on the dress. And even with this, even if she's like a very, very yellow character, you're going to want to add in some warm reds, things like that. Kind of give the legs a little bit more life. Otherwise, it's going to look less human, and if that's your intention, then I apologize. That is totally a valid intention. There we go. So, where is it going? Okay, here we go. So, since we kind of went with a warmer blue here, we're going to go a little bit more towards the green side for the rest of the lighting. And we kind of look like we've got the lighting coming from down here. So, since we've got that going from down here, we're going to want to give the dress just a little bit more of a highlight on this side. Really kick up the brightness. I don't want to mess too much with your patterning here, so there we go. I also don't want you to feel like you have to smooth everything out. I know that you have a really line-ish style, and so I don't want to change that too much. So we're kind of just trying to work on highlights and shadows, things like that. So, and highlights are a great way to bring out different parts of a character design too. So like this dark shadow here contrasted by the light highlight at the bottom of the dress is what's going to make it really apparent that her legs and her dress are not the same thing. We're going to do the same thing. My brush is fighting with me again. I'm sorry. I need to reinstall my drivers. Anyway, so same thing on this side over here. And now see how it kind of really kicks up that lighting? We're going to do the same thing with the edges of the fingers and the tops. And really let that lighting kind of kick in. This is what we call instant gratification highlights. Oops. And then that is what we call accidentally hitting the wrong button. Anyway. Wow, alright, fight me. Anyway, so alright, this is actually becoming frustrating. Alright, so I'm just kind of adding basic highlights to the hand for now. So that you can kind of see where the lights are coming from. You would do the same kind of subsurface scatter on the hands as you would on the legs. So some really nice smooth lighting coming out to the rest of the arm. Things like that. And then same thing right here. These areas. And then you'd want to give that same kind of kick of light that you have on the dress on the hair. So maybe like in that area right there. Maybe a little bit on the bottoms. There you go. So just a little bit of, like I said, an extra kick. And then, really? And then also on the wings. And then if your wings are going to be a little bit translucent, like it looks like you've got going on here, you can even take that a little step farther and kind of like lay in the extra color of the wings. Wings usually have like this beautiful blockish shape, or at least like translucent wings. Usually like this beautiful blockish shape where the insides of the wings are like a lighter color. Like this. And then the outside of the wings are darker, but I am having a moment. There. Okay, so like maybe a big block here is lighter than the rest. Still using that blue, which also is just kind of a, because I had that chosen, you could really use whatever color you want here. Give that kind of look. Okay. And then this, maybe a slightly darker color, and have that hit all of the shaded points, like that. And that'll give it a little bit more patterning and stuff like that. And that's just a, like, if you want to. You don't have to do any of that at all. That's just more so adding more design elements to your character. Oops, forgot to change the color. Anyway, so going back to adding highlight points, doing things to the elbows, adding some extra lighting there, a lot of extra lighting there, adding a little bit of, oops, a little bit of extra lighting over here, if my brush will allow it. There we go. Okay, there's going to be a lot more lighting hitting on this area than there is going to be up here. So, but like hitting those spots is going to give you a little bit more kick. See how she automatically looks like she's way brighter? And this can even be heightened by like a little bit of subsurface scatter on the background character's face. So like a little bit of light here. And over here. Maybe a little bit on the nose. A little bit in the bottoms of the eyes on this side. My tablet can actually fight me. I'm starting to get frustrated. Anyway, so a little bit on the side there, maybe even a little bit of like extra right here to give it some more roundness. There we go. And then maybe not that much. Okay, so there you go. Maybe even add a little bit of extra light towards the bottom to really kick up that, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Dynamic light, that one. So, there we go. Maybe not so much that it looks like you're trying to add a white beard on them, but, you know, a little bit of lighting. There you go. Another thing is some more instant gratification lights. There's always some like right next to the eyes, some on the little bump of the nose. There's always some on the mouth and on the corners of the mouth, things like that. And like these are, I put really bright highlights, but like I said, I'm kind of just exaggerating so that you can have a better idea of like where I'm putting things. Another great one is like fight me, tablet. Right under the eyes, or the eye line, basically. If the light is coming from underneath, if it's coming from over, it'd go up here. So since we added that low light, we want to do it on the lower end. So now see how that automatically gives a little bit more light and like idea of where things are coming from. You could even take this and make it a warmer skin, like a warmer blue, so that it really looks like it's got that subsurface scattering going on. Okay. Another great way of really bringing in the difference in two different characters is adding little bits of extra highlight in spaces where they both connect. So like over the top of the mouth here and things like that. We also want to, oopsies. We also want to add in some highlight on the hair. These strands of hair are really great, by the way. Alright, so. And hair kind of works and blocks a little bit. So, like, don't be afraid to kind of block it in and then smooth it out as needed. Oh my gosh! Okay. Maybe a little bit up here. Not as bright, but still existent. Okay. So that adds just a little bit of smoothness to those areas. At this point you can go kind of a little bit fun and add like an extra highlight area, or an extra like highlight coming from up and things like that, giving extra light up here kind of thing. But those are all things that, like, just depending on what you're wanting for the mood of your picture. The last thing that I want to talk about, and I know this has gotten a lot longer than I intended, so I'm sorry, but the last thing I wanted to talk about is what I was saying was adding a shadow to your other character on her face so that it really gives that depth. And I'm just going to use a really dark color real quick to kind of give an idea. The more that shadow branches out, the farther she's going to look away. So like if I do this, have it kind of like branch out forever, she's going to look farther away. Whoops. Trying to just give you a general idea, not... Okay. So that's going to make her look farther away than... like the shadow only going to about here. That puts her way closer into the face kind of thing, so... And like these shadows are really bad, it was just a quick to show you thing. But that's how that's gonna work. So what I'm thinking is that she's got her like in her hand almost, like not quite in her hand, but close enough to where it really like she's only about a foot away. So I kind of want to add in that shadowing close enough to where that happens. One of the rules that a lot of artists like to use is if you have a cool light, then you'll have a warm shadow. That is not always the case, but it does usually look pretty good. So it's not something I wouldn't suggest. And since we've got the light coming from over here, her shadow focus is going to be more on this side. So we'll want to like add a little bit of shading here. Maybe like push that it's her shadow. Maybe even like almost add some shade lines. Oops. Also, Let's maybe not have it go underneath her. Okay, maybe select shade lines. Maybe even put a little bit of the silhouette of the wings, an arm, in the eye. To really push that shadow. Maybe even add more silhouette on this side. And erase this little spot right here. Alright, maybe make that a little bit of a higher spot. There we go. That looks better. So, like that. And then with that, we'll want to just maybe overlay. Nope. Soft light's probably a good one for this. So soft light, maybe fill it a little bit. And that just, it's not a big thing. It's not something that's like really super visible, but it does just give it a little bit more of a kick, basically. And so there's a little bit of things that can like really help with making your character pop, and just so that you have an idea of where we started and where we ended. Here we go. Look. I put the pen in my mouth. Anyway, so this is where we started. This is where we ended. And so there's the really big difference of like the pop between the two characters. So what we went over on this, just as a quick recap, so we started by doing a quick gradient map to really map out where all of the shadows and lights should be. Then we did a hard light edit of just the background area to give it a little bit more difference in color. Then we took the same pixels in that and used that to change the saturation on the background and move it to a little bit warmer color so it looked a little bit more behind. After that, we added highlights, and then after that we added that little bit of shadow. That's the big things I would do about this. There are other things that you can do with this. It was really great looking at it at the beginning. These are just some things that I would do to push it a little bit more compositionally forward. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, you can feel free to subscribe. I don't post videos often though. Thank you so much, Fungi, for letting me paint over this. It is a beautiful piece, and I cannot wait to see more of your work.